Oh, I missed him. I didn't really realize. I never knew how much I could miss Joe Biden until he was gone. But now that he's back, I'm thrilled. You know, it's like, seeing seeing a Joe Biden speech is like watching a really good episode of The Office. Like, you've seen it all before. You know it verbatim. You know what's going to happen. You know what Michael's going to do. You know Michael's going to be inappropriate. You know Michael's going to say something that everyone's going to like. Jim's going to go, huh? You know what's going to happen, and you just look forward to it oh so much. And that's exactly how these Joe Biden speeches are. And I, for one, like I said, I am so glad. I am so glad that Joe Biden is back, because it made me. And he's back in a good way. He's not back in the Bernie Sanders AOC way where you're like, oh my God, are these people actually thinking about running for president? Or the Kamala Harris way, where Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris does not believe her political career is over. She does not see the writing on the wall. And the rest of us do, but she's out there campaigning and speaking and trying to figure out if she's going to be governor of California or president of the United States. And the answer is she's probably going to be neither. But she's pretending like she's going to be one or the other. Joe Biden is just out there because, I think he's bored. Maybe Jill got him a speaking gig or something. That's the other thing, too. He's got an agent. So you'll probably be seeing more and more of these Joe Biden appearances. I don't know. But this whole thing is just, I'm so glad he's back. And I'm going to bring you the clips here in just a minute of what Joe Biden was doing, what he was saying. And it had everything. It really had everything. It had inappropriateness. It had racism. It had yelling. It had creepy whispering. It had Joe Biden not understanding where he was or what he was doing at the time. It was if you wrote a Joe Biden speech, this would be the one that you would write. If you wrote a screenplay for Joe Biden, the movie, and it's really fantastic. I'm really excited about it. And I may just play these clips over and over again. In addition to that, though, there's so much more that we got to get into. There's the town hall meeting. The new direction from the Republican Party on the town hall meeting is so bad. I can't even begin to tell you, but thank God for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thank God for Marjorie Taylor Greene, pot stirrer, poop disturber, whatever you want to call her. She and I are very similar. Marjorie Taylor Greene, like me, is one of those people that if you tell her not to do something, okay, she damn well is going to do it. Not only is she going to do it, but she's going to do it even if she wasn't planning on doing it. If you tell her not to do something, she's like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing the HE double hockey sticks out of it. It is, and we're similar in that. The more you tell me not to do something, the more I'm going to do it. And it's not because I even want to do it. It's because I don't want you telling me I can't. The Republican leadership, and by Republican leadership, I mean cowards. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's Mike Johnson. I don't know if it's Senator Thune. I don't know if it's people at the White House even. It could be somebody. I don't think it's somebody at the White House, but it could be. They're telling Republicans, you got a hiatus, right? They're on vacation. They're on vacation again, which is so funny because one of the concerns my wife has when I say I'm running for Congress is, how long are you going to be gone? And not like, hey, because sometimes if she's like, oh, thank God you're going to be gone for so long, I'm going to have all this time for myself. No, we actually get along really well. So she's going to be like, oh my God, how long is it going to be till I see you? That's so sad. So that, there's two things, but the House of Representatives is on a hiatus again for 2 weeks. Look at it. Let's check the calendar here real quick, because I have it handy. The calendar for the House of Representatives. Where are we? April? Okay, so they worked we'll count the 31st. So they worked 2 solid weeks. Not really, because they took off Friday. They take off Fridays. So they worked 4 days. Okay, they worked 3 days the first week of April, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd. They took off Friday. Then they worked that's actually not true either, because this is actually not even their accurate calendar. Because you may remember that in late March, they had that whole kerfuffle with Anna Paulina Luna, and they gavelled out. So never mind. They only work. Okay, so they worked a week. All right. These guys, they worked for a solid week. They worked the 7th. They worked the 8th. They worked the 9th, and they worked the 10th. Fantastic. They took off the 1st. So they worked 1 week out of April. They're due for a 2-week hiatus. So they're gone. They're gone now over Easter. They're gone the following week, and they go back on the 28th for another just knockdown, drag out 4-day work week. Telling you, People are like, Mark Kaye, why do you want to run for Congress? Mark Kaye, why do you want to be a congressman? There's a bunch of reasons for it, but don't think I haven't checked this calendar. Fridays off, 2 weeks off for Easter, a month off in August. Come on. So they're on hiatus, and when they're on hiatus, they typically go home, and some of them will do town hall meetings. But the Republican leadership has been telling them, don't do town hall meetings, whatever you do. You don't want to be caught dead at a town hall meeting because the town hall meetings are just filled with Democrat operatives, and they're going to yell at you and scream at you. And I don't understand why that's a bad thing, because Democrats yelling and screaming just reminds everybody. Doesn't it just remind everybody that, I just feel like it reminds everybody that they're crazy and they're lunatics and they're loony. I don't know. That's just me. I just feel like that would be a good thing. You put a magnifying glass on the problem, and the problem is the Democrat Party. And what better way to put a magnifying glass on the Democrat Party than having a town hall and letting them all come in here and yell and scream at you? That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene did, and I applaud her for it. And I think she is a better person for it, and I think that she's doing the right thing. Because there are representatives that refuse to do town halls. Now, Representative John Rutherford from Florida's 5th District, who I will be actively primarying in 2026, that guy hasn't even had a town hall meeting ever. There's two ways to think about it. You don't do a town hall meeting because you're scared to talk to your constituents. You don't do a town hall meeting because you're lazy. And I don't know that John Rutherford's scared of doing a town hall meeting, although probably he is, but he's also lazy. Like, he lives in it. This is a red district. This is why the primary is so important. It's a red district. Democrats, very difficult to win this district. Not impossible, but difficult to win this district. And he knows that. So when he got elected, he thought to himself, well, I got elected. I can probably hold this seat as long as I want to, and I don't really have to do any town hall meetings. Why do I have to answer to my constituents? They're going to vote for me no matter what. And the Democrats, they're never going to vote for. It's a blood red district. I'm not doing anything. And sure enough, it's been something like over 2,000 days. 2,000 days since this guy got elected. He hasn't done a town hall meeting and has no plans on doing any. That's just laziness. Well, there's no place for that in Congress, and there's no place for cowardice. Everybody should be doing town hall meetings. Every single one of them. 400 and what do we have? 33 right now. Democrats, Republicans, you got 2 weeks. You got major issues to discuss. You've got people concerned about the government and the cuts, and Elon Musk. You got people concerned about tariffs and prices, whatever. Go. It's your opportunity to go and explain it to them. That's what town hall. You're representing these people. Why are you afraid to talk to them? If they have a question, look, and the Democrats, fun fact, you represent them too. Not the ones they bus in from, not the professional protesters. I get that. But if there's just an angry Democrat who lives in your district and didn't vote for you, you represent them as well. And it's your job to answer their question too. And it's your job to say, hey, here's what's happening and you can't stop it. You could vote for somebody else, but you tried that before and it didn't work. It's your job as a representative to go to and host these town hall meetings. And they're not doing it, except for Marjorie Taylor Greene. And again, I applaud her. Plus, this Chris Van Hollen thing, I just don't get it. This guy's going to El Salvador now, hopefully not on the government dime. If we find out, that's the other thing I want Congress to do. And I know that they're off. I know they're on their Easter break, but somebody's got to do an investigation and make sure that this clown from Maryland, make sure that this dude is not spending taxpayer money flying to El Salvador to meet with a guy who's not even an American citizen, who was deported by the United States of America because he's a criminal alien. If you're using taxpayer dollars to get on a plane and fly to El Salvador, and at the same time stay in, I'm sure, a very swanky hotel, because, senators in third world countries, they don't want to stay in, well, it's not really a third world, it's doing okay. They don't want to stay in the local hotel. He's not Airbnb in it. He's probably Four Seasons. Although I don't even know if there is I imagine he's in San Salvador. I don't know if there's a Four Seasons in San Salvador, but probably there is. Whatever the cushest house is in the hotel. In fact, hold on. Nicest hotel in San Salvador. That's where he is, right? Yeah, because he's meeting. Here we go. The Hilton is San Salvador's best hotel. Is that true? There's a Four Seasons or something like that? Luxury hotel, Sheraton, Hyatt, Intercontinental. Let me pull some of these up. What do we got here? Looks like the Sheraton Presidente San Salvador. That looks nice. Oh, the Garten. I imagine he's at the Garten. Barcelo San Salvador. Look at these. This is beautiful. Man, maybe I should go to, oh, here's a boutique hotel. Whatever it is. I imagine he's at one of these, oh, the Hotel Kalnawi. That looks fancy. Let's take a look at that one real quick. That one's got like a little garden. It doesn't matter. Wherever he is, he's spending money. And I want to make sure he's spending his own money because this is not a government sanctioned trip. Nobody asked him to go down there. He's not being sent there by Congress or by the president or anybody. There's no official business. This is all unofficial business. And I hope that he realizes that we do not want to fit the bill for it. And if we do, then we're going to, anyway, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to get into. I do want to start off by saying, please, if you're watching this, subscribe to the channel. You know, if you're watching this so far, if you've made it this far, then hopefully A, you enjoy what you're seeing, and B, you want to see more of it. And there's a lot more of it today. I just rolled through everything we're going to start talking about. And so I want you to stick around for it. And what the best way to make sure that you're, oh, hold on. The best way to make sure that you're sticking around for it and that you're going to be here for everything else is to subscribe and to like and to set the notifications. And if you're on YouTube or Facebook especially, subscribing and liking and setting the notifications, commenting, sending us a super chat or some stars or whatever on Rumble, if you can send us a Rumble rant, all of that is interaction. And anytime you interact with this program, anytime you interact with the broadcast, that means that tells the algorithm, hey, this is something that people like. Every comment, every like, every share, every subscription, every notification, everything. They take it all in and they go, this is something good. And they show it to more people and we can grow our audience and we can continue to get bigger and better and become, more of a player and reach more people too with a message that I believe is important. Probably you believe it's important as well. If not, you wouldn't be here. So anyway, if you have a minute, just do all those things on Facebook, on YouTube. If you're listening to our podcast, now big news today, Spotify, one of the two largest, I would say it's Spotify and iTunes, right? Those are the two biggest, but Spotify, they were down today. I started getting email messages from frantic people, and thank you. And I love it. This is very important. When you get text messages and emails from frantic Kayetriots going, they took down your podcast. I can't find your podcast. What is going on? Oh my God, it's a conspiracy. A, usually that's probably the case, but B, in this case, it was the entire network was down. And I host my podcast on a podcasting platform. I don't want to get too technical. You don't need to know the whole back office setup, but I host it on a podcast platform that's owned and operated by Spotify. And then they distribute it to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean. I know people listen. It used to be Google Podcasts was a thing. Now they're all defunct. But all these things, what happened was we had the morning podcast, the 47 daily podcast come out. People were trying to access and they couldn't. And so I freak out thinking, what, because, the title today was something about Democrats and Harvard or whatever. I go, son of a gun. I'm getting censored. Oh, they're thwarting me again because I have common sense. But apparently what happened was the entire Spotify network went down. The entire Spotify system went down. People couldn't stream music on Spotify. They couldn't upload their podcasts on Spotify. And as a result, my podcasts were not available. But that's been fixed. That's been remedied. Everybody went to X and complained about it. It was trending on Google for a while. The situation has been resolved, and you should be able to download those podcasts. This is just a long way of me saying, hey, make sure that you subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you can get this stuff delivered to you all the time. And by subscribing, again, same thing with the algorithm. And man, I was bummed too because we were climbing those charts. Remember I showed you we were like in the 30s and we were in the 20s and I was like, we're coming for you, Candace. We're coming for you, Candace Owens. And then all of a sudden my whole network collapses and I go, oh, bummer. That's gonna be a hit. But that doesn't matter. You know what? Onward and upward, I always say these things happen. The only thing that is constant is inconsistency. Pardon me while I take a sip. Of my coffee. All right, let's talk about Joe Biden, shall we? Joe Biden is, and I've been reading this book too. This book is great. I've been reading this book called Fight. And this book about, it's called Fight. It's about Joe Biden. I started reading it on the plane. I haven't finished it yet because, it's when I'm on the plane and there's no Wi-Fi service or anything, I go, I'll just read. But then the plane lands and there's Wi-Fi service and I'm like, reading, what even is that? The only thing I'm reading is my text messages and my Facebook comments. But anyway, so I have to find another, really put together a good piece of time to finish this book because it's riveting, but it's all about the final days of Joe Biden's political career. And it begins, it's a really great book. I read some of it earlier on the show. But it begins with debate night. And it talks about Nancy Pelosi, who's in her, swanky Washington, D.C. pad overlooking the Watergate Hotel. And it talks about, what's his name? The guy from Delaware, Chris Coons, who's apparently had to fly back from somewhere overseas, and he was sitting in a room watching with other people. It talks about, the Obamas and the Clintons. Who's the lawyer guy? John Morgan. John Morgan was at his Ponce Inlet beach house watching the election because John Morgan's a big Democrat donor. And as a result, like Nancy Pelosi was texting him apparently the night of the debate going, John, what do we do? I think, because he's a personal injury attorney, I think she was reporting I've personally been injured by Joe Biden's debate. This is personally going to injure my political prowess. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The book's fascinating and it's riveting. And then it talks about all the things that happened after that and the fight that ensued in the Democrat Party leading up to Kamala's nomination and just, this horrible thing. The book is called, hang on, I'll show you the book. It's really good. In fact, I have it on I bought it on Amazon. I downloaded it to my Kindle. Not I don't have a Kindle, but a Kindle reader. Let me find it. Where would that be? And it's here's the thing I like about it. Here it is. It's called Fight. And it's Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House by Jonathan Allen and Amy Parnes. And you can get it on Amazon. Like I purchased the Kindle edition. And it's really entertaining. And it's a quick read. It's not like, it's not like really in depth. It's in depth, but it's small words. So that's another reason why I really like it, because I use a lot of big words myself. So whenever I can read small words, really helps to clear out my brain. But I would recommend that book, even though I haven't finished it. So Joe Biden went away and we thought he was kind of going to be gone. We knew eventually Joe Biden had to return, right? Like we knew he had a book deal. We knew he had an agent. We knew that there's an election coming up. We knew that they were going to give him some time. They were going to let everyone hopefully forget about him. But keep in mind, he's been gone now for almost a year. It was, July 15th was the convention. Donald Trump gave his amazing speech. So it had to have been somewhere around like July 20th. If July 19th or 20th, Donald Trump gave his amazing acceptance speech at the RNC in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And after that, that's when the Democrats knew. Look, Donald Trump got shot in the face. He jumped up, yelled, fight, fight, fight. He flew to Milwaukee. He was there every night. He stood up on stage and he gave an incredible speech. And that's when the Democrats really panicked. And they're like, dude, between the debate, between the shooting in the head, between the fight, 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 and now this speech, Joe Biden's, it's over. Like Donald Trump's going to waltz right into the White House. And that's when they really started panicking. So I think within the next couple of weeks is when Joe Biden called it quits. They brought in Kamala. They started screaming joy. And then the rest, is history. So it's not even been a year really since Joe Biden has kind of been out of the spotlight, but it's been long enough, I think. And so he's making his comeback and he wanted to talk about Social Security because the big lie this week is that Donald Trump is going after Social Security. The big lie that the Democrats are setting up for their battles in 2026 is that Donald Trump is going to take away your Social Security and your Medicaid, and old people are going to suffer and rich people are going to just have a field day. Mind you, Joe Biden, very, very rich guy, very rich. China paid him a lot of money. But he had this, so he comes out and he gives this speech where he's going to talk about Medicaid and Social Security and remind everybody that Donald Trump is the enemy who wants to destroy old people. And man, this speech was everything a Joe Biden speech should be. Everything. It started, he played all the hits. Like if I were making a Joe Biden playlist, Joe Biden played all the hits. He played talking over the music, not realizing that nobody could hear him.
Thank you. So good to be here. Shotgun shack to the Superdome. Who deserve help.
Yeah. And I guess somebody left the music on in the background and he didn't hear it, or it was just on the stream, or who knows what, but it's a great way. It was true Joe Biden fashion for him to start speaking and nobody to really hear the first few words, because it seems like he was just talking over music. He also made an inappropriate joke about Social Security and people, taking advantage of the system.
By the way, those 300-year-old folk getting that Social Security, I want to meet them because I like to figure out how they live that.
Hell of a thing, man. I'm looking for longevity because it's hell when you turn 40 years old. But as a result,
so Joe Biden, keep in mind, and I want you to remember the content. This is a speech about Social Security and Medicaid, and he's trying to make it a serious issue. Donald Trump is coming after it. He's going to raid the coffers. Your retirement's going to be gone. You're going to be paying out of pocket for the most expensive things ever. You're probably not even going to be able to afford health insurance, and forget it. Medicaid, that's on the Doge chopping block. Whoopshia. That was my chop. That was that was more like a Fruit Ninja sound, but you get the point. But that's what Joe Biden was supposed to do. And what does he do? He rolls out and starts making jokes. Man, I got to talk to them 300-year-olds on Social Security. Woo! That's a goal, right? Life goals.
By the way, those 300-year-old folk getting that Social Security, I want to meet them because I like to figure out how they live that.
I mean, let's be honest. Just look in the mirror, dude. You want to meet a 300-year-old? Here, let me here. You can open up you get your wife's compact and just look right in there. And you'll see a 300-year-old. But then I guess he realized this is actually a serious speech. So he did something else that is traditional, something else that is a key ingredient to any Joe Biden speech. He had the talking over the music and the kind of not really understanding where he was or what he was supposed to be doing. He had the joke about Social Security, which is a program that is currently, according to him, under attack, but we're going to make fun of people who've been, he's basically making fun of fraud. He's like, I want to be one of them fraudsters. I want to be, and I don't think he was kidding either. Now that I think, now that I think about it, I think he was telling the truth. I think he's probably like, you know what? I got grandkids. And he's actually, not only does he have grandkids, but he's actually now accepting that he has 7 of them. He's recognizing every single one of his grandkids, even the one that Hunter had out of wedlock with the stripper. So he's probably thinking to himself, man, that China money going to dry up. I need some more money. Hey, maybe I can get Social Security for the next 200 years. Like those people. It may or may not have been a joke. But then he moved into another traditional Joe Biden signature speech element. And that is the uncomfortable, senile style yelling. Going from down here to da-da-da-da in like a split second. It's the Joe Biden yelling that, and this is one of my, it's always been, I don't know if I preferred the creepy whisper because, Joe Biden, he always had, there's a couple of things that when Joe Biden speaks, you can look forward to. One of them is the creepy whisper. I'm wondering do I have any creepy whispers? The pay them more or the get vaccinated, all that kind of stuff. Do I have I'm trying to see. I used to have all of them, but I've kind of gotten rid of a lot of them now. Yeah, I don't have the creepy whispers, but the thing, pay them more. Get vaccinated. That's the thing. But then the other traditional thing is him just starting to yell and scream at nobody in particular for no good reason. And he did it last night and it was awesome.
It's about dignity. Simple dignity. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. Regardless of their standing, regardless of the economic situation, regardless of who they are. Making sure that more than 60 million Americans who are living with disabilities are treated with dignity is who we are as Americans.
It's all about dignity. Dignity! It's like, I missed it. I missed this kind of stuff. Just the 0 to 60 volume level, the kind of thing. And he's the total opposite. Donald Trump never yells during a speech. Donald Trump, from the first word to the last word, it's all the same level. It's all very calm. It's all very, even when he's talking about terrible, horrible things like lawfare. They came after me and they sued me and it wasn't right. And I said, that's okay because we're going to win. And he talks about, all these guys. And then they tried to take my life, and it's all the same thing. And it's riveting as well in its own way. Almost, it's really interesting because Donald Trump on one side will talk about really serious issues like, lawfare, January 6th, trying to imprison him, lying, stealing elections, all that kind of stuff. But he'll do it in a very soft way. I think it's purposeful. I mean, first of all, it's his demeanor, but it's also very purposeful because the contrast when you're talking about one of the greatest hoaxes, one of the greatest crimes potentially in American history, and you do it in a way that's kind of soft and calm. And there's a real contrast. It's really riveting. Joe Biden's just talking about Social Security and dignity, and he doesn't, he does the opposite. He just starts screaming and yelling about things that you really don't need to scream and yell about. And he does it, I think, for dramatic effect.
It's about dignity. Simple dignity.
Simple dignity. That's what it's all about. And then, of course, what Joe Biden's speech would be complete without some kind of uncomfortable racial reference about his racist past growing up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. What Joe Biden, I tell you, whether it's Joe Biden yelling at Charlemagne the God, "You ain't black," or Joe Biden talking about his hairy legs and jumping in kids' laps and corn pop and all that, no Biden speech really. I mean, if there isn't an uncomfortable racial stereotype lesson in or story being told, is it really even a Joe Biden speech? I ask you. And yesterday we were treated to something that, again, did not disappoint.
And I had never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time I was only going in the 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by.
I remember. I don't even know what this has to do with Social Security. First of all, he's yelling about simple dignity, and then he's relaying this really horrible story.
And I had never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time I was only going in the 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by.
And I don't. It's just, and then, you know what? And I realize how much I miss it. I realize
if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Yeah, I missed all this stuff. It's just rushing back to me, you know? Like
Gay bathhouses and everybody. It's all about round the clock sex. It's all. Come on, man.
I mean, the fact that he's yelling it. I mean, I will never get over the fact that he's yelling at Anderson Cooper, openly gay reporter from CNN, yelling gay bathhouses, round the clock sex.
Gay bathhouses and everybody. It's all about round the clock sex. It's all. Come on,
man. I mean, I don't. So hopefully Joe Biden will be making more of these speeches, and I may actually have to attend one in person. I may have to actually attend one in person because they really seem. I know they're exciting to watch after the fact. They're exciting to watch on C-SPAN, and it's really exciting. I hope for you to hear these recaps. I myself enjoy every minute of it. But it's really I look forward really to more of those in the future. Oh, maybe, you know what? Maybe he'll go and speak at Harvard University, because they are in dire need of some money after Donald Trump reportedly now wants to defund them to the tune of $2 billion. I made a video about this earlier today for the 47 Daily Podcast, but this story just keeps going and going and going. Harvard, Donald Trump, there's no love lost for Harvard and President Donald Trump. This is a guy who saw what was going on the campuses last year. He saw what was going on with the anti-Semitism. He saw that Harvard was a place where Jewish students were now scared to go. He saw that they had absolutely nobody taking care of this situation. He saw students taking over buildings, not just Harvard, but Columbia and other Ivy League organizations, other Ivy League schools. And he sat there going, what is going on? Why are they not stopping it? Why are they not clearing those kids out? Why are they not making it a safe place for our kids to get educated? And then when this woman, what's her name? The gay woman, gay woman, the president of the university, she comes to Congress and she says, oh, bullying is subjective. Or, you know what? There's Caroline Levitt was talking about it we were talking about it in the press briefing yesterday. She mentioned exactly what the woman said. She talked about how the president of Harvard, it was just shocking. It was just shocking that she, here it is.
When it comes to Harvard, the president's position on this is grounded in common sense, in the basic principle that Jewish American students, or students of any faith, should not be illegally harassed and targeted on our nation's college campuses. And we unfortunately saw that illegal discrimination take place on the campus of Harvard. There are countless examples to prove it, particularly with the stunning confession by then Harvard President Claudine Gay, who said that bullying and harassment depended on the context. The president at that time made it clear to the American public he was not going to tolerate illegal harassment and anti-Semitism taking place in violations of federal law. So the president made it clear to Harvard, follow federal law, no longer break Title VI, which was passed by Congress to ensure no student can be discriminated against on the basis of race, and you will receive federal funding. Unfortunately, Harvard has not taken the president or the administration's demands seriously. All the president is asking, don't break federal law, and then you can have your federal funding. I think the president is also begging a good question. More than $2 billion out the door to Harvard when they have a more than $50 billion endowment. Why are the American taxpayers subsidizing a university that has billions of dollars in the bank already? And we certainly should not be funding a place where such grave anti-Semitism exists.
Yeah, and in fact, Donald Trump reiterated that today. He posted this on his Truth Social. It was, why is that out of whack? Hang on, let me move this over so that I can actually read. Oh, that's better. Everyone knows that Harvard has lost its way. They hired Bill de Blasio and Lori Lightfoot at ridiculous. Think about this too, by the way. I'm sorry, I just have to interject. Donald Trump is 100% accurate about this, okay? I'll read more here. Everyone knows that Harvard has lost its way. They hired from New York Bill de Blasio and Chicago Lori Lightfoot at ridiculously high salaries and fees, two of the worst, most incompetent mayors in the history of our country to teach municipal management and government. Now, okay, Bill de Blasio, arguably one of the worst mayors in the history of the city of New York. And I mean, and there've been some pretty bad mayors, but he was probably the worst, the most ineffectual. And the crime skyrocketed under him. He allowed Black Lives Matter to take over the entire city. He told everybody to eat some French fries during COVID. I mean, it was just ridiculous. He locked people down. Police were just getting bombarded with hatred. They were retiring in great numbers. He wanted to defund them. Bill de Blasio almost destroyed New York City to the point. Don't even get me started about the sanctuary city. To the point when what's his name rolled in as the new mayor. And started to try to change everything. He realized this place is unfixable. You cannot even fix New York City. It's never going to be the same. We will never get back to the city we once were. And Bill de Blasio's a reason for that. Lori Lightfoot, holy cow, this woman was even worse. She refused to meet with white reporters. She was the short little black lesbian woman. I guess she still is, all of those things. She was mayor of Chicago, and Lori Lightfoot was so racist that she refused to meet with anybody who was a white reporter. She only wanted to meet with black reporters. That also the whole time the gang violence is skyrocketing in her city. There's like 100 gun deaths a month, several shootings every weekend. Again, you've got police attrition. It was horrible. And Harvard looks at these two and goes, yeah, they'll do. We'll pay them ridiculously high fees and ridiculously high salaries to come and teach municipal management and government. Bill de Blasio, Lori Lightfoot. I mean, how are they teach? Is it one of those here's what not to do situations? Like my parents. Okay, my parents are, they were good parents, but people always say, how come you're such a good parent? I go, oh, whatever my parents told me to do, I just tell my kids to do the opposite. That's just my typical way. But I imagine that's what's going on with Bill de Blasio and Lori Lightfoot at Harvard University. It's such a waste of time. Harvard, Donald Trump continues, has been hiring almost all woke, radical left idiots and bird brains. It's a direct quote, by the way, who are only capable of teaching failure to students and so-called future leaders. They're teaching failure. Harvard University, they're hiring failures. They're paying these failures lots of money. And these failures are in turn teaching failure to the students. And Donald Trump says, we can't have that in this country. You can't be anti-Semitic and teaching failure and taking government funds. Absolutely not. He goes in, he talks about the plagiarizing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Many others, like these leftist dopes, are teaching at Harvard. And because of that, Harvard can no longer be considered even a decent place of learning and should not be considered on any list of the world's great universities or colleges. Harvard is a joke. Teaches hate and stupidity. and should no longer receive federal funds. Thank you for this attention to this matter. Harvard is a joke, teaches hate and stupidity. Now, I do have a question, and I don't mean ever to question the president of the United States because he knows better. He's the president. But do you really teach stupidity? I get you can teach hate. I get it. Hate is something that's taught. We've all seen the commercials. Hate begins at home. I get all that. But do you teach stupidity? Or I thought that was just a natural thing. We're going to teach you to be stupid. What'd you get in stupidity? A. That means you failed. If you get an A in stupidity, are you stupid or are you smart? I don't understand. Anyway, but apparently you go to Harvard, you can take hate and stupidity 101. I think it's a requisite now. All incoming freshmen to Harvard University, they have to take 1 unit of hate and 1 semester of stupidity. and then they can go on and learn how to run a major city from either Bill de Blasio or Lori Lightfoot. He ain't wrong, man. He ain't wrong. And that begs the question, why are we giving these people $2 billion, especially when they already have an endowment of over $50 billion? And that's not a question just coming from me. That's a question coming from Peter Doocy, the most trusted White House reporter from Fox News. Also, I don't know if this is who Donald Trump was talking about when he called a bird brain, but he's also very much loved by our feathered friends.
Why do Ivy League schools get so much federal funding?
It's a very good question, and it's a question the president has obviously raised in his discussions and negotiations with not just Harvard, but also Columbia and many other Ivy League institutions. We have the Anti-Semitism Task Force, which the president promised and delivered on. The Anti-Semitism Task Forces across the government, representatives from various federal agencies who meet on a weekly basis to discuss the question that you just raised. And I think a lot of Americans are wondering why their tax dollars are going to these universities when they are not only indoctrinating our nation's students, but also allowing such egregious illegal behavior to occur.
Yeah, they're breaking the law and they're indoctrinating our students and they're totally one-sided. And why are we letting it happen? Why don't we put an end to the madness? In fact, our good buddy Scott Jennings was on CNN and he wanted to mention what's going on at Harvard as well. And he is a former teacher there and said, look, over the last several years, they've become a bubble. They're speaking it's an echo chamber and there is no diversity of thought.
I mean, if Democrats were doing this in a way that, conservatives felt like was taking on some of their interest in these higher institutions, I feel like I would hear you talking about, hey, government's supposed to be more limited.
Why would Democrats be complaining about Harvard? Like 96% of the political contributions from the faculty go to Democrats from Harvard. There's no diversity of thought among the faculty there. And by the way, I should say, I've had some experience with it. I was a fellow at the IOP. Kristen was as well. I taught a class at the Harvard Kennedy School for a number of semesters. I had a good experience, but I think...
But no diversity of thought, apparently.
But I think in recent years, particularly since October the 7th, the civil rights of these Jewish students on campus have clearly been violated. I don't think the university, Harvard, Columbia, a lot of these other Ivies have taken near enough steps to protect these students. They've been chased around campus, barred from buildings. Buildings have been taken over. I mean, it's ridiculous what's going on. And here's the deal. They take federal money. They have a $53 billion endowment. They take federal money. If you want to continue to take federal money, you're going to have to listen to the people who dole it out. And that's the Trump administration who are standing up for these Jewish students. If they want to give up the federal money, you can create, I guess, the culture of hate that you want, and that's fine. But right now, they're entangled with the federal government, and they're going to have to deal with the president.
And they're going to have to deal with the president. And that's true. They take federal funding. And when I've heard people yelling and screaming, and so they have First Amendment rights. First of all, they don't have First Amendment rights. They're a private university. They're not a person. No one's taking away any individual's First Amendment rights. Also, it's not even about that. It's what he just said. It's about the safety of the students. It's about civil rights, and it's about federal funding. If they were privately funded, if they wanted to just, live off of the money they have, and they have a lot of money, $52 billion in an endowment. I mean, the average tuition annually per student is $90,000, and they have something like 2,500 undergraduate students, not to mention all the students in law school and all the students in medical school and all the other curriculum courses that they have online. And, they've got the adult education course. I mean, they're raking it in. There's no way Harvard is not making money. Harvard is one of the most successful businesses, not even college. All colleges are businesses, but this is one of the most successful businesses. The brand name alone is worth billions of dollars. And the fact that they are allowing that brand name to get tarnished, I know a lot about brand. I mean, my whole, Mark Kaye is my whole thing. If the Mark Kaye brand somehow gets sullied, and people have tried, people have tried, it's all over for me. Harvard is one of those that you think would protect their brand name, their brand identity, but now they're letting the most powerful and the most listened to man in the entire world rake them over the coals because they want to let anti-Semites run the establishment instead of just teaching people stuff. Instead of just giving people the best education they can get in history or science or medicine or law, instead of creating the future leaders of tomorrow, they're just letting anti-Semites terrorize Jewish people on their campus. And they expect to be able to get $2 billion in federal funding from that. It has nothing to do with free speech. It has everything to do with civil rights. It has everything to do with the safety of the schools. And Linda McMahon, the education secretary for now, who runs the education department for now, she reiterated that on Newsmax.
Now, let me be clear. We're not talking about First Amendment rights at all. I think that on college campuses, there should be open debate. There should be room for disagreement and all of that. But what I'm talking about are civil rights violations and safety for these students who are on campus. And the president just said he's not going to allow it in terms of those universities that are receiving federal dollars. And he's being very firm about that.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. You're not going to get our money. And if you do want our money, and here's what happened. Donald Trump said, look, if you want to keep getting our money, here's what you have to do. You have to cut out all this crap. You got to stop teaching this BS. You got to protect the Jewish students. And you've got to kind of get back to this, that, and the other. Also, the DEI's got to go. We don't want any more diversity, equity, and inclusion because that's really the bait. That's the root of all evil when it comes to these kinds of online terrorist activities that we see happening on these college campuses, which is resulting, by the way, in the case of Columbia and Mahmoud Khalil. You see these kids, they're getting deported because they're basically exercising or engaging in terrorist activities and ideologies on college campuses, which are federally funded. And now their visas are being revoked and they're going back home. And as a result, at Columbia University, these people are tearing up their diplomas. I still really don't understand that. But it's not about, we're not debating whether or not you have First Amendment rights. You have all the First Amendment rights you want. But if you take federal funding, the federal government also has rights to tell you what to do. If you don't want to take the federal funding, if you want to live off your $52 billion endowment and all the $90,000 checks you get every year from the students that are coming in, fine. You can do and say whatever you want. You can let you can let Hamas, you could change it to Hamasverd instead of Harvard, which is probably what they should do. Welcome to Hamasverd, because that's who's basically running it. Hey, speaking of debate, speaking of healthy debate, speaking of stuff that's going on, let's talk a little bit about these. Talk a little bit about these town hall meetings, shall we? Because I should also remind you very quickly about the Mark Kaye shop, because we haven't gone to the Mark Kaye shop lately. But man, I haven't pimped it, but you guys still love it, and it's probably because I put a link in the description of this video. But we still have tons of Gulf of America gear that people are loving. We sell these t-shirts like there's no tomorrow. And we're heading into summertime. A lot of people will be taking trips to the Gulf of America, whether in Florida or Alabama or Texas, Louisiana. The Gulf of America is huge. Maybe you're going down to Mexico and you want to remind them what's up. The Gulf of America line, still one of our top selling lines. Also, if you'd like the Trump official portrait collection, you can get a t-shirt or a hoodie or a mug or a tote bag with President Donald Trump's official visage, his face, his portraiture on there. That's a very popular item as well. And we were just talking about Donald Trump's speech from the convention. The speech from the convention, we still have the full line of Brighter Future collection tees and aprons and hoodies, and these are really great too for anywhere, because it's so fitting, and it features Donald Trump's quote on the back: "America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before." And I think, look, we're checking those boxes, man. Bigger. Look at this. This was what Donald Trump said, right? This was in his speech. He goes, "When I'm president," this was back in July of last year in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, standing on stage at the Pfizer Forum, accepting his party's nomination once again for president of the United States. President Donald Trump said America's future will be bigger. We got the Panama Canal back. We're working on Greenland. We just took over the Gulf of Mexico, renamed it the Gulf of America. I would say we're bigger. America's future will be better. Look at all the jobs coming in. Look at all the jobs. Look at all the money. Look at everything else. Bolder, same thing. We have a bold vision for the United States of America, and these tariffs that Donald Trump has implemented so that we have free trade again, that is bold, and it's making it brighter. And I, for one, am happier. and we're going to be stronger. Why? Because we got DEI, we got woke junk out of our military. And what happened when Donald Trump became president? All of a sudden, boom, a surge in military enlistment for every single branch of the military. A surge, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps. Pardon me while I close my email. The Space Force, all of them. Surge. We are stronger as a result, freer, greater, and more united than ever before. We're working on the more united, but we saw yesterday what happened. 73% of Republicans and 35% of the country now identifies as MAGA. This shirt, this quote is coming true. You can get yours at the Mark Kaye shop. If you want your official Kayetriot gear, go there as well. Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, logoed merchandise. It's all right there, as well as the Mark Kaye signature collection. MarkKayeshop.com. MarkKayeshop.com is where you can go for all that and more. All right, let's get back to the town hall. So town hall meetings are, again, I don't understand this whole we're not doing town hall meetings. There was some order given by the Republican leadership. And again, I'm not really sure who that is. Probably Mike Johnson, probably some folks at the GOP. I don't know. But somebody told all of these representatives, when you go home for your 2-week hiatus, do not have a town hall meeting, because the Democrats are paying people and they're shipping in protesters and they're bringing these loudmouths to come and disrupt. But I mean, they're Democrats. They do that anyway. They do that for free. They do that for kicks. And if you're an elected representative to the House of Representatives and you're representing a red district, you should be able to stand up to some people yelling at you. If people are yelling at you and that offends you or turns you off, you're probably in the wrong job. If you're like, oh, constituents, get away, you probably shouldn't be a representative. But that's exactly what's happening in all of these town hall meetings around the country that aren't happening. There's even people that have been doing digital town halls or just answering questions via email, and they're trying to skirt the issue in a couple ways. And I don't understand that, because number one, it gives you a great opportunity to do two things. First, you can make your case directly to constituents, and you can stand there and say, hey, listen, I'm fresh. I just came back from Washington. Here's what's going on. Here's what you need to understand. Here's what's being misrepresented in the news. Here's who's lying to you about whatever. And let me tell you the truth. So in a way that you can understand and appreciate it. That's the first thing that you can do at a town hall meeting. You know what the second thing is you can do? You can watch these lunatic Trump derangement syndrome left-wing protesters go crazy, and then you can plaster that all over social media. And then what's going to happen is everyone's going to be like, man, those left-wing socialist Trump derangement syndrome lunatics are still at it. They're still crazy. They still don't deserve any support. And their numbers will continue to plummet because they're crazy. And Marjorie Taylor Greene understands this better than anyone. She did not skirt her responsibility to meet with her constituents and paid protesters. And she held a town hall in Georgia. And here's basically how it went.
What is that, the illegal alien? I don't know. That's an illegal alien.
Yeah, he's yelling, free Kilmar. He's yelling, free Kilmar. So this guy, which is weird, this is the weirdest thing ever. This is a town hall in Georgia. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is from Maryland, which is several hundred miles. You got Georgia, there's South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland. And so he's in Georgia and he's yelling at Marjorie Taylor Greene, free Kilmar, free Kilmar. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia. She didn't put him on a plane. She has no jurisdiction over the deportation of illegal criminal aliens, nor does she run El Salvador or the Seco prison where he's currently being held. I don't even know if I know she's on a lot of committees. I don't even know if she's on the Foreign Relations Committee. So she may have zero say. And this guy is so angry that he shows up at Marjorie Taylor Greene's town hall meeting and starts yelling, free Kilmar.
What is that, the illegal alien? I don't know.
Yeah, now there were a bunch of other protesters. One of them got tased by police because he was acting up and they told him to stop. And then he started lashing out at the police. And once you start lashing out at the police, you've escalated. You've gone from just protesting, just being a nuisance, to now assaulting a police officer. And that's when they don't care who's talking. Look, these could be Democrat police officers. I don't think they are. They could be Democrat police officers. And they're still going to tell you to shut up. But as soon as you lay a hand on a police officer, that's it. They don't care what your politics are. You're going to jail. And if you resist, you're getting tased. And that's what happened.
No, I was trying to get you.
He's a cop, so he's going to take him out too.
I know.
Look at that. He's still fighting. Oh, there's the taser. Oh, there it is. Listen, hold on. This is the good part. Ready? All right, everybody, here, brace yourselves. Ready? They don't show this, but you can hear the tasing. And not, man, there's nothing sounds as good as a good tasing, does it? Here, listen. Is that a double tasing? Did they shoot him twice? Did they shoot him with a taser, like 2 tasers? Is that what I heard? 2 tasers? I got 2 tasers and a microphone. Where it's at? MTG got 2 tasers and a microphone. I mean, they ain't playing. They're indoors. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care where you are. You don't listen to the cops. And here's the thing. It's Georgia. It's a Marjorie Taylor Greene town hall. These are police. These are police officers. I say he's lucky he only got tased twice. But that's what happened at the Marjorie town hall. And listen, I say let it happen. These are the things that people need to see. People need to know. They need to know that there is law and order in this country. They need to know that Marjorie Taylor Greene or whoever the elected representative is shows up at the time and location where they say they're going to show up. They talk about what's going on in Washington, D.C. They share information. They answer questions. And Marjorie Taylor Greene did all of those things. Now, she didn't take live questions. She had like pre-recorded questions or something on a screen. And I guess, that's one way to do it. But at least she was there. And when the protesters jumped up, she didn't shirk. The cops took care of business. Chuck Grassley also had a town hall meeting, and his was a little weirder. Chuck Grassley is, I think, the oldest senator currently in the Senate, or at least the oldest Republican senator currently in the Senate. And he went back to Iowa. And Chuck Grassley, now he wasn't on a stage. He was like in a kindergarten classroom or something. His was much more quaint kind of get together. And we'll play his in a minute. But here's Marjorie Taylor Greene after the fact. Here's what she said.
Yeah. Thank you. Just wondering, when you saw the response and the fact that the police had to get involved, you didn't move. You were definitely stable up there. But what was your reaction just to seeing that all play out the way it did, especially in front of some of the people who came here to support you and wanted to hear your message?
My reaction is it shouldn't be that way. America overwhelmingly voted in November for President Trump, Republican control of the House and the Senate, and how people should handle their businesses in the voting booth. There's no reason for screaming, yelling, ridiculous, outrageous protesting. That disrupts the entire event for every single person that is there. And, one of the most important things I do is offer constituent services. And that was exactly what I wanted to be able to promote and talk about tonight.
From a safety standpoint, you even mentioned the fact that you had to keep this place secret for a little bit. The idea that there are so many people who had to have this increased police presence, does that leave you deterred at all when you know that there are people who are out there with all these thoughts about what they would want to do at one of these rallies?
No, I don't like that. But no, I'm not deterred. My job is a representative of the people that voted, my district. And I have to represent the entire district. That means I have a job to do. And that job is extremely important. No, I'm not deterred. But I will tell you guys, and this is a story that I think is extremely important, I have the most death threats in Congress. And at times, I have more death threats than even Speaker Johnson. And it shouldn't be that way. And we just saw Governor Shapiro's mansion attacked with arson. It shouldn't be this way for any elected leader, no matter what political party they represent.
I like how she goes, I have more death threats than Mike Johnson, and it shouldn't be that way. He should have way more death threats than I do. That guy's the Speaker of the House. What did I do? He's the Speaker of the House. Why do I have more death threats than Mike Johnson? That's not right. That's not right. Sorry. That just made me laugh. But look, she's a tough cookie. She's a tough bird. She's been swatted like so many times. She's like, the police know her by name. When the swattings happen and they show up at her house, she's just like, you guys want some coffee? Come on in. Let me get on the percolator. And they're good to go. But anyway, so Chuck Grassley in Iowa had a much more subdued town hall. There was a lot of yelling. nobody got tased as far as I know. But like I said, it was a much different venue.
Excuse me, Senator Grassley, on that same subject, the Constitution, the framers of the Constitution said that every person, not citizen, every person within the jurisdiction of the United States has due process. That is violated by the administration, and we would like to know what you, as the people, the Congress, who are supposed to rein in this dictator, what are you going to do about it? These people have been sentenced to life imprisonment in a foreign country with no due process. Our government cannot do anything. Why won't you do your job, Senator?
Yeah. It's fine. Obey the Supreme Court.
Okay, so anyway, so you got Senator Grassley standing there in a classroom, and someone's yelling at him because these illegal criminal aliens are not getting due process, which is it's an argument that the left likes to make, that the Constitution doesn't say citizens, the Constitution says persons. And in fact, I have a copy of the Constitution. Hang on, I got it right here. I keep a copy handy with me at all times. So let me just roll it out here. It's in 1, 2, 3. It's the 5th, right? I believe. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise except in cases awaiting it. Okay, put in jeopardy of life. It's in here somewhere. To be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use. So it says here, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise crime, or be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Now, again, I'm no lawyer, but I did get waitlisted from one of the top law schools in the country. So no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property. Okay. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is still alive. So he has not been deprived of life. That's true. He shall not be deprived of liberty. He was put on a plane, flown back to his country, where they decided to incarcerate him for crimes that he committed and that they deemed to be crimes against humanity, punishable by incarceration. So the United States at no point took away his liberty. Oops. There you go. And then property. I mean, as far as I know, no property was seized. He's got, I think, like a wife and a kid and a dad here, and they still have a home. I don't know. I don't think they ganked his car. I don't think they took any weapons. I don't think they touched anything in his home. I think they just put him on a plane, flew him back to El Salvador. And then when he landed there, the El Salvadoran said, "You, jail." So, and last time I checked, and I may have to check this again, I'm pretty sure the Congress, look, see? It says Congress of the United States right there at the tippy top. And it says nothing about El Salvador. So we cannot do anything about the laws, the regulations, or the government or the law enforcement in El Salvador, but we can do something about it here in the United States of America. This guy's alive. He's been incarcerated by a foreign country, and everything he owned, as far as I know, he still owns, even though he doesn't have access to it because he's an illegal criminal alien. So I don't know why they're yelling and screaming at Chuck Grassley. Also, I don't know why this is such a big deal because, as Stephen Miller said, this is not an American citizen. This is not a dad from Maryland. This is not a Maryland man, as we have repeatedly shown you on this show, as we've played you clips from the White House, from literally everybody. Caroline Leavitt, CNN even said it, and Fox News. Everybody's telling you this is not a Maryland man. This is not an American citizen. This is not the world's best dad. That's what Caroline Leavitt said yesterday in the press briefing. I'll play that for you in a minute. But Senator Van Hollen from Maryland he's right now in El Salvador. We talked about this at the beginning of the show. He's right now in El Salvador to meet with Kilmar Abrego Garcia to talk about, I don't know, freeing him. He's going to the embassy to see if he's going to the American embassy to see if they can work a deal where look, if Donald Trump can't get the guy out, there's no way Senator Van Hollen can go to El Salvador and do it. Not to be confused, by the way, with Van Halen. Van Halen was Panama. Van Hollen is El Salvador. which is different. Van Halen was Panama. Van Hollen is El Salvador, or I don't know. But Stephen Miller from the White House was on Fox News yesterday with Jesse Waters, and he said it perfectly.
Senator Van Hollen seems to be under the very confused impression that this MS-13 terrorist is his constituent. He is President Bukele's constituent. He is President Bukele's citizen. He is President Bukele's resident. He is not a Maryland man. He is not a Maryland anything. He is an illegal alien from El Salvador with a deportation order from the United States. He is not legally even allowed to be in our country. Under the due process that these Democrats so venerate for illegal invaders, it is legally impermissible for him to have one more minute in this country. So we honored the law and obeyed the law by getting him out of this country. And if the entire Democrat Party was to work itself into a state of emotional hysteria to demand the return of illegal gang members and terrorists to our shores, then that 21% will soon be 15, and then it'll be 11, and then all they'll have left is the support of actual confirmed MS-13 members, and that will be the entire base of the Democrat Party.
I believe it. I think it's already the entire base of the Democrat. Despite all of that, despite everything he said being true, Van Hollen is a senator from Maryland. As far as we know, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who's an illegal immigrant, did not vote for Chris Van Hollen. If he did, chalk up another crime because now we've got election fraud. If this guy if he voted for Chris Van Hollen, then that's another issue. But not being a citizen, he's not a constituent because he's not actually able to take advantage of any of the things that are allotted to or reserved for citizens of the United States of America. But for whatever reason, Senator Van Hollen is like, this guy is one of us, and I'm going to fly to El Salvador to protect him. In fact, here he is at the airport. I guess this is...
I'm here at the airport. I'm about to board my flight
BWI,
for
maybe?
San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia home until he returns to his family. I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is. But we are going to keep fighting because this is a miscarriage of justice. The Supreme Court has ruled 9-0, that he was illegally taken out of the country and put in a prison in El Salvador. And this is about due process. This is about rule of law. What bullies do is they begin by picking on the most vulnerable. But if we get rid of the rule of law and due process in the United States, it's a short road from there to tyranny.
Okay, a couple things I want to point out about this video because it cracked me up when I watched it. First of all, that's not what the Supreme Court said. That's not what they said. They said that Donald Trump must facilitate his return, which the White House said they're doing. But listen, I want you to look at this video quickly because I noticed there's an edit. I don't think Chris Van Hollen knows this guy's name because right before he says Kilmar, right before he says, I hope to meet with Kilmar. Oh, hold on. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. There's an edit. So what happened was, I think he was talking. He's at the airport. He's trying to make a big scene about this whole thing, and he forgets the dude's name.
Bring Abrego Garcia home until he returns to his family. I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar.
There it was right there. I mean, this is the guy. This is clearly nothing more than a publicity stunt. And we know it's a publicity stunt because he did another video. He did another video when he landed in El Salvador and he was in the car. By the way, Proud Elephant wrote, just in, disgraced Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen has arrived in El Salvador to demand that criminal illegal alien gang member Kilmar Abrego Garcia be returned to the U.S. immediately, which again, I mean, I couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better myself. Here he is in the limo, which who's paying for this? Huh? Probably the American taxpayer. Who's paying for this trip abroad? This little jaunt down to El Salvador? For Senator Van Hollen, who paid for the plane ticket, who's paying for the car, who's paying for the hotel?
I just landed at the airport in San Salvador a little while ago. I'm now en route into the city, looking forward to meeting with the team from the American Embassy. And I do want to thank our Foreign Service officers and the whole team at this embassy and embassies around the world.
By the way, we pay for those foreign service officers. We pay for these embassies. We pay for those. If he's wasting their time on something that Donald Trump already said isn't going to happen, then that's money out of your pocket. If he walks in and they offer him a cup of bate chocolate or tequila or whatever it is they're drinking down there, that's money out of your pocket, because this guy decided to use his break on a taxpayer funded trip to El Salvador.
For all the good work they do on behalf of our country. I'm proud to co-chair the bipartisan Foreign Service Caucus that stands up for the men and women who are serving our country overseas and at home in the State Department. After that, I hope to meet with some high-level government officials from El Salvador. As I've said before, the goal of my visit is to talk to people here about the release of Kilmar.
Oh my God, I could not care any less. This is way too low. This is a minute 3, this video. This video never should have been made, but the fact that it's a minute of him saying the same, what is he even doing now? I don't even follow Chris Van Hollen, but maybe I should, Van Hollen, because I want to see how much of our money he's wasting. And again, you can tell. Senator Chris Van Hollen, here he is, U.S. Senator from Maryland. Okay, so the last post he made was 2 hours ago. 13 minutes ago, I just met with the vice president of El Salvador as we fight for the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I'm speaking to the press now with the latest on the efforts. I mean, Senator Chris Van Hollen is live. Like, does anybody care? Is he running for president? That's what I have to wonder. I have to wonder to myself, all right, here he is speaking to the press.
So I will certainly ask the American Embassy to ask the government of El Salvador to connect us by phone.
He's getting the translation because there's no English speaking agencies there because nobody in this country cares what he's doing down there.
I asked him, how about his family? How can he talk to his wife so that she can hear his voice?
Oh, this is the worst.
I let him know that the family has.
Let's go back to the beginning and see how it started. Very shaky. This guy is.
What's that?
Can you repeat that? We just started the live stream.
Can we repeat what?
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm going to start again with.
This is a travesty.
So I just met with the vice president of El Salvador. I'm grateful.
Why is he shaking?
For the meeting. The president is out of the country at this time.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. I have to stop it because, first of all, I'm getting convulsions watching this shake. So Chris Van Hollen is there in the middle of these Latino reporters. I see Magico TV, Noticias Telemundo, CNN. I see all those. But I don't see any American outlets. Also, he apparently gave some kind of statement, but they weren't live streaming. So then they said, you need to remake your statement or redo your statement because we just started live streaming. So he's got to repeat himself, all the while the camera's shaking. And the first thing he says is, I met with the vice president because the president is out of the country. Yeah, we know he's here in the United States meeting with President Donald Trump. This senator, El Idiote, this guy flew to El Salvador to meet with a president who wasn't even home about an illegal immigrant criminal being released from a prison into El Salvador and then being hauled back to the United States of America. Meanwhile, he doesn't even know when he's live streaming, and whoever's holding the camera is having some kind of conniption fit.
So I appreciated the chance to talk to the vice president about the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
Esta mañana estuve platicando con el vicepresidente de la República, el señor Ulloa.
Oh, so now it's this is horrible. And now she's got to translate and he's got to stand there like an idiot. This is awful. I don't know if he's running for something, he's just lost. If he's hoping for like a vice presidential nod or something, he's mismanaged this whole thing. He's fighting the wrong cause. He's fighting for the wrong people. He's doing it in a way that nobody cares about. And his press and his social media they should be fired immediately. And trust me, I know a lot about effective social media. One last thing I wanted to cover, and this reminds me of it too, when we're talking about like these outlandish trips that these people take and who's what they're spending money on and the taxpayer dollar. There's a clip of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez going around, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a little torn. I'm a little torn on it. It's about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's on this oligarchy tour, right? With Bernie Sanders. And they're out there fighting the oligarchy. And they're talking about President Donald Trump. And they're talking about how President Donald Trump is using the presidency and Doge to help his rich friends like Elon Musk and all the rich billionaires that he put in his cabinet and blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, Donald Trump is just, he's feeding the rich and he's stepping all over the poor and yada, 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 yada. And meanwhile, while she's flying around from city to city on this tour, she's flying first class, which again, I'm all about first class. I like flying first class. It's better than flying not first class. If you have the opportunity to fly first class, I would recommend it. You get on the plane first, you get off the plane first, you get free drinks, although they're not free because they charge you twice as much for the ticket, but it's just more convenient. I'm also about inspiring people to become more financially secure. Like, I think if you have a first class, everybody's aspiration should be to be able to afford the finer things as well as the necessities. Yes, you want to pay the necessities in life, but you also want to enjoy your life because it's very short. And the more money you can make, the more you can take advantage of that. So I think first class is a great thing that people should be able to, aspire to. In addition to that, first class is the reason why economy seats exist, because the first class tickets are so expensive and the people that can afford to pay for them, or they get bonus miles or whatever. But the first class cabin usually is about 3/4 of the amount of money that the entire flight makes. So if it weren't for first class, everyone would be paying more for tickets. So anyway, but they catch Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in first class and they start posting about her. And it's not the fact that she's flying first class that bothers me, but there are some other things she did that I think maybe are bad. But here, I'll let you listen to the story first.
Conservatives are laying into progressive Congresswoman from New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The question here, is it fair that they're going after her over this? Take a look. She was caught on camera traveling first class on a JetBlue flight last month. She was on her way to Las Vegas to speak at a Fight Oligarchy event with Senator Bernie Sanders, events in which she has been railing against the wealthy elite.
We are witnessing an oligarchy in America. When those with the most economic, political, and technological power destroy the public good to enrich themselves, a certain ugly kind of politics that at its core is about lying to and screwing over working and middle-class Americans.
Other passengers told the New York Post this: nothing says power to the people like ignoring voters looking to say hello and reclining in first class while tweeting about income inequality. And AOC is fighting the system one first class mimosa at a time. What's your reaction? Is this fair ground?
I think it's absolutely hilarious. Look, basically, good for anyone who wants to make it in America. That's the American dream. Everyone should have the opportunity to climb the ladder of opportunity and enjoy first class. But there's a big difference. You work for it and you earn it. She's paid by the taxpayer. She's not earning it in the way that the American dream is all about. And by the way, let's look at how Democrats are turning this into legislation. Right here in California, unbelievably, there's a bill to remove that Clear channel from airport security, where you can pay to join Clear and skip the line, as it were. They don't like that because it's unfair. So they're trying to take that away. Meanwhile, the champion of the left is enjoying these perks at the taxpayer's expense. It is absolutely unfair.
Now, I don't know that it's at the taxpayer's expense because I don't know that they pay for representatives to fly first class. I think you do, and I've been investigating this. I think you get a stipend for travel, but I don't think you get to use it for first class seating. Also, really, the wealthy elite, the oligarchs she's talking about, the Donald Trumps, the Elon Musks, they're not flying for it. They have their own planes. That's what they're really going after. But so, again, I'm torn. Also, there's a certain threat level that exists when you're AOC, similar to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, it'd be great if you could just hang out in the general population, but there's people that hate you and call in death threats and want to swat you. So maybe separating yourself for a couple of hours in a separate compartment is better. But the thing that got me the most is when she ignored voters. If that's true, that goes right back to the town hall avoidance. If you're in an airport, if you're on a plane, if somebody wants to say hi to you or take a selfie with you or a photo with you, do it. Especially if you're sitting in first class sipping a mimosa, because you're going to need the publicity. You're going to need the positive press. But you should never, ever, and I don't care if it's one of your constituents or not. I mean, look, Chris Van Hollen, Abrego Garcia is not his constituent, but he's flying all the way to El Salvador to take selfies with him. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the least she could do if she's sitting in first class is stop and make time for the people. That's my big complaint. I could be wrong. Should she avoid first class because she is a left-wing liberal socialist? Also, I know she's a millionaire because she's written those books. Written, quote unquote. She's written those books. And again, I don't have a problem with making money from your books. I have a problem with illegal stock trading. I have a problem with illegal insider trading, but that's not how she made her money. And I know that because she and Matt Gaetz were two of the loudest proponents against stock trading. And she's actually working on passing a bill that forbids any and all representatives, elected or otherwise, from trading stocks while they serve their people. So I'm a little torn. Comment whether you're listening to the podcast or whether you're watching on a live stream, what you think. Should she be able to fly first class without getting shamed for it? Or should we just shame her for everything because she is, after all, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? I mean, look, do you remember when she faked the photo at the border? That definitely shame her for. But anyway, also, who drinks mimosas on a plane? That's such a brunch thing. Hey, listen, before we get out of here, I did just notice that we got a super chat from the Truth Seekers of Norway. The Truth Seekers of Norway sent us 199 NOK, which is, I believe, some kind of Norwegian currency. Thank you, Mark, for the truth content. We have been lied to about everything, also about the shape of the earth. Logic will tell you that gas pressure would need a container for pressure to exist. The Truth Seekers of Norway, thank you so much for your super chat. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much for following us and for seeking out the truth on our behalf. If anyone else would like to leave us a super chat, absolutely, we would love it. We would love for you to leave us a super chat because that's how the show is supported these days. We are completely independent. We are independent news broadcasters or news. And by we, I mean me. I mean, it's me and it's you. It's us, basically. And I'm here because of your generosity. So if you would like to be generous, it means I can be here longer. I'm here because of your investment in the show and because you say, yeah, I like it enough to throw Mark Kaye a couple bucks here and there. We get Rumble rants all the time. Somebody on Rumble, and I forgot to mention it the other day, dropped like 20, bought free subscriptions for 20 people, which was insanely generous. Insanely generous. We have a bunch of people joining our Kayetriot Club every single day. And the Kayetriot Club is amazing because the Kayetriot Club gives you a couple things. First of all, you get access to our what do we call it? After party. Although we're going to be making it a pre-party before too long. You get access to our after parties. You can come in and enjoy an extended version of the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic broadcast. You also get free stickers. Free stickers you can only get here in the Kayetriot Club. Look at this. These are the stickers. This is the sticker pack you can get. We send them out. And you get the Gulf of America sticker, the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic sticker, the 47 Daily sticker, the Mar-a-Lago sticker, which is one of my faves. Kayetriots, all those included in your membership. Plus, if you go to the Mark Kaye shop, you get a coupon code for 25% off. So 25% off everything you order from the Mark Kaye shop. So if you go here and you want to get one of these hoodies, or you want to get a Gulf of America t-shirt, or Gulfy, the official Gulf of America mascot, whatever you want, throw it all in your cart. Use the coupon code that's available, again, only to Kayetriot Club members, and you get 25% off your entire order, which is insanely good. And you can join right now by going to Kayetriots.com, and we're going to begin the after party here in just a minute. In the meantime, I'm sorry if the Spotify crash of 2025 adversely affected you today. But it is back up. It is back up and running. All of our podcasts should be there for your listening enjoyment. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and Facebook and Rumble and all those places, which is a great backup too. If for whatever reason our podcast platform ever goes down again, it's a great backup. You can always find us on X. You can always find us on Rumble. You can always find us on YouTube. So if you can't listen on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify for whatever reason, try it, and vice versa. If you watch online, you never know when those places are going to go haywire. So you should probably go and follow our podcast as well, so you'll never miss a gosh darn thing. In the meantime, keep listening, keep sharing, keep liking, keep fighting, because I will keep coming at you every single day with the truth. I will keep coming at you every single day with the inspiration you need, the education necessary for you to stay on top of it, for you to stay vigilant, for you to know who's just lurking around the corner, ready to try to take you and me and the rest of the country down. We have enemies, lots of them. And we need to continue together to train, to be ready, to fight, so that we can save the Republic. All right, if you'd like to join the after party, go to Kayetriots.com. Join the Kayetriot Club. The after party begins in 3 minutes.